Conscious Black Business Network and its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of this site or radio station, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. Thank you for joining us.
It's the business of life, the business of love, the business of health, the business of wealth. It's the business of principle, the business of media, the business of conscious, the Black Business Network, the business of love, the business of health, the business of wealth. It's the business of principle, the business of media, the business of conscious, the Black Business Network, the business of love, the business of
peace and power, peace and power, peace and power. And also, may I say, happy Kwanzaa, Habari Gani, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and all that good stuff. Welcome to the Conscious Black Business Network off the cuff radio show. This is Brother Sankofa coming to you live and direct from our studio, sitting alongside with none other than our very own minister, Sergeant Winkler, also known as the psychosocial spiritual entrepreneur. Family, get comfortable. Don't get too comfortable, but get comfortable enough where you could stay focused, stay attentive, stay alert, so you can be able to benefit greatly, tremendously from our impactful show this evening. We have a special guest who's going to be with us momentarily, and we have a wonderful show planned. But before we move on with the conversation and get into the guests and the conversation and the theme and subject for this evening, just a few things I just want to share with you. First and foremost, if you want to call in, you can dial 410-989-5557. Once again, you can dial 410-989-5557. Also, family, you could join us. You could tune in, stay connected with us through Facebook, Conscious Black Business Network Studios, Conscious Black Business Network, Temple of New African Thought. Even hop on YouTube. You can go to our Conscious Black Business Network platform there on YouTube, and you could be able to stay connected with us. Also, family, go to consciousblackbusiness.com and, hit up the chat board, jot down a blurb and stay connected with us, follow us, stay plugged in with all those different outlets. But fam, let's go ahead and get right into the business at hand. Today, we're going to be speaking about the image of Black people, the image of our people, hoodwinked, and the belief of Black inferiority. Hoodwinked and the belief of Black inferiority. Family, this is a very important conversation to have, and we have a brother here who we're going to be conversating with this evening by the name of Janks Morton. This brother here has produced a number of notable films, documentaries, geared towards how Black people are presented in the media, in film, and throughout. And so we're going to talk about, how we see our people, how the media portrays our people, and, the way we need to see our people. And so for those who don't know, Janks Morton has, produced, as I said, a few films and documentaries, and he's pretty much focuses on just addressing the misinformation that's out there about our people, the stereotypes, the misperceptions, and the falsehoods about our people by bringing correct and accurate information to the forefront so we could see ourselves in a positive light. We all know that there's much out there that doesn't represent us in the best way. And so Brother Janks Morton tries to do what he can to present us in the way that we should be presented. So Brother Janks, we're glad to have you on our show. We welcome you. Can you hear me, my brother?
I can hear you. I can hear you well. Can you hear me okay?
I think I can hear you pretty clear. I think I can hear you pretty clear.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening.
Peace and power, brother. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
All right. No problem. So Brother Janks, we're glad to have you on the show. As I mentioned to you in previous conversations, Hoodwinked is a piece of work that you have produced, and we've here at the Temple of New African Thought, we've had dialogues about the documentary when it comes to our brothers. We've looked at it and had some conversations about it, and it's definitely an important documentary to look at because it challenges our own thoughts and perceptions and different things like that. So, you know, and I know you produced some other works as well.
Yeah, I like this.
One of the questions
I like to say before you say it, I mean, because I was first turned on to the brother from Dear Daddy.
Okay.
And that film there, I mean, it is a powerful film. I mean, I've even went inside the prisons and brothers inside the prison really are touched by that film. That film is more powerful. Brother Chuck introduced us to that Dear Daddy, and then it was another one. I think it was Black Men Think, something like that. And then I noticed, you know, I saw
that 2-part.
I saw some I saw a lot of areas and a lot of locations that we're familiar with in all the films, because we're in Baltimore, so we're very familiar with the general location of where a lot of these films were taking place. But yeah, I mean, powerful films.
Thanks. That Dear Daddy, man. I wish I could have been there to see how that plays inside the prison, because that's probably a two-way street. One, that their fathers weren't present in their lives, and then two, they're not present in their children's lives. That's a powerful dynamic for that type of film to be shown. And I wish I could have seen it. I've been in prisons before, but not with that film. And that's just an interesting play on that movie.
Well, Brother Janks, Minister Ausar had mentioned that movie to me, Dear Daddy. He had mentioned that to me, and he was saying the impact that it had. And my first chance at being able to see your work was Hoodwinked. But you know, for those who might not know you, who might not be as familiar with you, what you do in your work, you know, if you would like to, share with the people listening, a little bit about of what you do and what's the reason behind what you do in producing these films and these documentaries like you do.
Well, it's interesting that right this period, this winter of 2016, it's been 10 years when I first started this journey. My first film was released in 2007, but it was in production like right now. So I'm on the 10-year anniversary of these films. Like, the motivation behind it was, in my heart, there's just some things that are said and shown about who we are as a people that, because of my background, I knew they are just wrong. I mean, I literally had a woman in the first film. I'm interviewing, doing some man on the street, and I say, what's the biggest challenge in being in a Black relationship? And she's walking her dog, and she points down to her dog and says, see this right here? This is what N-words are. They are this right here. And I know that behind that, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of history, but more so, it's been reinforced by kind of this group think. And I'm not talking about Black, I'm talking about really the world system, or this consciousness that thinks that Black people are less than. And there's all these different ways of cutting into that. But basically, it says that we are less than, not equal to, and really, borderline subhuman. And the thing that hurts me most in the work that I do is really not about what the world thinks about us, it's what we think about ourselves.
Yes, sir.
That we've internalized that message, and it goes from the outright to that, the Negroes ain't no good, to these subtleties. And the subtle ones are the ones that I believe have been kind of, think of brainwashing, that have been sewn into your heart, mind, and soul, to a place where you're not even cognitive of the fact that when you open your mouth, you are really denigrating Black people. And to try to you can't fix that in one movie, because it's in multiple lanes. It's all over the place. So my works have been, when I see something or something that touches near and dear to me, I begin to, walk that path through a documentary film. A couple of books in there as well, but to really say, this is what's going on, here's the reality, and let's try to close the bridge so that in your heart, mind, and soul, you begin to see us for who we truly are, and see the greatness inside of us as well. I know I'm long-winded, it is late, and it's a Thursday night, so I'll try to cut it back a bit, but that's a big question on why I do what I do.
Well, Brother Janks, this is what I like to do, Minister Ausar here. The brother who actually introduced me to your works, Brother Baba Chuck, he just walked in the building, and I would like to, let him just state the next question, introduce himself to him, because I mean, this brother has been introducing your work all over this city here in Baltimore, throughout the prison system himself and everything else. Go ahead, Bobby Chuck. How you doing, brother? Are you on? Oh, let me turn you on. I'm sorry about that. All right, go ahead.
Greetings, Brother Morton.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
How you doing? I love your work,
right,
man. I love your work. I haven't been showing these films ever since I bought them all. I bought all I could. I even have 2 nephews that were working with you at some high school over in DC.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
And now I only know them by their nicknames, Frog and Suge, but they really.
Oh, I know Frog and Suge. I know Frog and Suge well.
Yeah. They my nephews.
Really?
Yeah, they are my nephews. But I had.
Hopefully they've had experience with the person and not the movie. Hopefully those two line up, because like those two are really they're some talented young men, really talented. So anyway, that's another story. But okay, I'm listening.
Can I ask you what's next? Because I used everything for a teaching tool. I used it all.
Believe it or not, I have not shot a movie in like 4.5 years because of that high school. I'm not making that an excuse. It's that, my passions drive where I'm at. And, doing movies and running around the country speaking and universities and churches and all that, that's cool. But the school has become this passion of mine, something I love, is near and dear to me, where I'm able to touch this situation, these circumstances. I'm able to impact right where I stand, on a daily basis. But to answer your question, I agreed to shoot the sequel to Dear Daddy on February 1st and 2nd, I believe, is when I'm supposed to be. Or no, it's January 13th and 14th at Lincoln University. And this time, it's not just going to be girls who grew up without their fathers. It's going to be both. And I'm going to be dealing with college-age students trying to navigate, that whole kind of repressed trauma of not having a positive paternal influence in their lives.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know when it's going to be released. Like I said, I just signed on about a month ago to go ahead. But it's about time for another Janks Morton. Like I said, it's been 4.5 years since I did a film, so I got to get busy again.
Yeah. But I know I was in a very unique situation. I was working in the prison at night and residential treatments in the daytime with kids. Mm-hmm. And I did this for like 27 years. And when I found your work, I introduced it to all the kids. Then I took it to the men in the adult prison. And it was kind of weird because I actually got the same response from the adults and the kids. And it was a mind blower for me because it was like I was stepping into the kids' future and stepping into the adults' past. And they all acted the same way. And when I walked in, when I walked in tonight, you were saying what you were saying. I said, man, this brother, I feel so blessed to just meet you, even though it's all over the air. I feel blessed to meet you.
And I'm just a regular dude trying to make a difference. That's all. I'm really, that's all I really want to do. And it's funny that you mentioned that prison situation, man. I've been trying for years to try to do something in that vein, where, with those intense one-on-one sessions where you start to peel back the layers with men behind bars, or even some that are, in the reentry program. I just haven't been able to pull that off, but because I think there's layers there, especially the men that I've met have been more at the federal prison level. So they've had time to reflect, and they're in just a different place and can give you a really great lens on the choices they made. But then also, as we're talking about the subject matter of the films, how these external influences, be it fatherlessness, be it misperception of Black identity, be it social pressures of bad relationship, whatever it is. And when I say relationships, I'm not just talking about streets. I'm talking about partners, whatever, who you're connected with, and how all this thing is all wrapped together. I would, man, one of these days, maybe I would love to get audience of about 20 dudes who've done their time and found the answer, and really peel back on how that can help young people not make those same choices.
Brother Janks, I know you said you enjoy and embrace being able to make a difference on the ground, where you're at, and with all of your work, with all of your work right on down the line, one of the common threads is being able to bring issues and information to the forefront to change people's perceptions. So what are some of the things that you've noticed in doing the things you do? What have you noticed in terms of difference that you've made? How does this information that you're bringing out affect people and influence the way that they see things?
It's kind of funny because as I'm hearing you ask the question, I'm thinking about, you speak in front of these audiences sometimes, 1,000 people, 3,000, 5,000 people, and you see transformations happen. You see light bulbs going off. But the real thing that becomes near and dear is like the story from your brother who just talked to me about the prisons. From time to time, you'll get these stories where you don't know anything about what's going on. I haven't met them before. I don't know what's going on, but you hear that you're making these changes, or your work is making a difference in people's lives. Especially like you get it on Facebook. Like, man, I'm just people. I'm honored to meet you, and you don't know how you. I had a woman about a month ago say something like, I changed my doctoral thesis after seeing your film.
Wow.
And that's the real gratification of, like, it's the unseen and the unheard that, some way, shape, or form, these films and this work is changing people's lives one by one. That's the story that will probably never get told. I've had, people just, I live in Atlanta, and I was at a buffet, and this dude just walks up to me and he just starts pointing in my face like, yo, you that dude, he don't know my name. He really doesn't. He doesn't know the name of the movie, but you that dude. And you're the one, you did that thing with the jail thing. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm not into the fame and the public recognition, so I'm kind of keeping it low because I'm trying to eat my lunch. But that I'm all the way in. I live in Atlanta now. I'm a DC native, but that kind of thing, that your work is inspiring and changing people's perspective the way you want it to do. So, my movies sell every month and my books sell every month, and I don't know where they're going. I don't know the people. I don't know nothing, but there's a change that's going on. And here's the last metric that I'll give you, the last bit of measurement. When I first started this work, I could walk into any barbershop, any church, any social meeting or activist meeting and ask that question: are there more Black men in jail or in college? And to a T, I'm going to get in the high 80th percentile. When I say that, I mean like 8 out of 10 people are going to say brothers are in jail, not in college. And now, 10 years later, if you ask that question, they don't know who did the research. They don't know where they heard it from. But it's, for the first time, it's more people say college than jail. And that is because of the work that we did 10 years ago. And of course, it's been picked up, it's been expanded upon, it's gone, through the internet. Other people have looked upon it. But the original research came from me sitting in front of a computer one night going, I don't believe this crap. I'm getting ready to rip it apart. And I'm going to find out who did the study. I'm going to rip them too, because there's no way. And this was the other side that I had to learn, that people who are doing this kind of research are not my enemy. Because when I first started, I was out to rip everybody. If you were saying, no, because there are people that are funded to put out negative data about Black people, and I hated that. You understand what I'm saying? So they won't fund you to go find positive stuff. Like I'm self-funded and I know how to do research, so nobody writes me a check to go, James, go find us something great about Black people. That doesn't happen. Right. They don't do that with anybody. The way the system was set up is that if you want a paycheck, you come out and bang the loudest drum about how bad Black people are doing. So out of wedlock birth rate, fatherlessness, dropout rate, incarceration rates. That'll get you paid. That'll get you your book deals. That'll get you movie deals. It'll get you all kind of stuff. You talk about how bad Black people are doing, but the undercurrent of that is that message gets picked up. It's not sourced, and it becomes the narrative inside the barbershop, which is like the worst place to kind of get any research or any verifiable data about Black people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's the answer. That's the long-winded answer to, like, things have changed and they're changing all around us subtly. And that's what I love, is that, it's not just this one thing. It's a very, very, it's a current. It's changed. Things are different now than they were 10 years ago when I started.
Absolutely. So, Brother Janks, again, thanks for joining the show. I absolutely enjoyed this moving into Hoodwinked. We've shown it twice at our temple here, and I absolutely enjoyed it more every time I see it. And I think I heard you once before, I believe, on a radio show. I'm not sure if it was local. I'm not sure who it was or what it was. I think I heard you on a show, maybe a talk show here locally in the Baltimore, Washington, DC, Washington area, somewhere. But nonetheless, are you familiar with the term conscious community?
No, I'm not. I haven't heard it. I have my thoughts on what it is, but I don't know specifically what it is.
So I noticed you did have like what did he have? Jawanza Kunjufu on there.
Yes.
And I really, really, really was taken back, or really wow, when you started showing information to debunk a lot of the information that we continue to spew. And when you're revealing it to the principals, and you're revealing it to the quote unquote scholastic community, and I'm saying the term conscious community because this is the community, I'm not sure, the Jawanza Kunjufus, the Malefici Asantes, the Umar Johnsons, all these people lumped in one community. So we think we have all this information. And the thing is, we're really regurgitating information that we heard. We don't know where it came from, and we think that somehow it's going to help. And I heard you on a radio show, and it was even more clear when I heard you say we believe that this deficit model is going to fix anything. And I think what you said was that what has it fixed thus far? So what's the data that supports that this is going to work? This deficit model is going to somehow scare somebody into being successful. And you said, well, you posit that it does the opposite. Where if we continue to hear negative, we're going to say, well, I can't do that, so I might as well not shoot for it. And I thought about it because this information is so powerful. I was sharing with Dr. Malefici Asante. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. But I think that, from an African-centered standpoint, his work and your work align very well, because Dr. Malefici Asante speaks about this thing called consciousness of victory and consciousness of oppression. And he said we can spew this consciousness of oppression a lot, but we don't talk about the victory. So with that being said, I remembered I was talking to Dr. Malefici Asante, and I said, I was a young businessman. I was in school. I was in college. I had all types of businesses going on and all this. And I'm in there with my, Black Power thing. And I'm saying, we don't own anything. and I'm saying we don't own, and I'm saying we don't own anything. I'm like in my 20s and I'm owning like 3 businesses. You hear what I'm saying? On a block in Baltimore, Liberty Road. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but there's a lot of Black businesses. Then I'm like, and people say we don't have Black institutions, or we don't have a Black institution. Then I'm looking at your film again, and I've actually graduated from Sojourner Douglas College. So now I'm saying, well, wow. We keep saying we don't have anything, so how can we have it? How can we keep a thing or make things thrive? So what do you got to say about that type of thing?
It's so funny because you mentioned Jawanza, and Jawanza, this is a hilarious story. One, I'm going to shoot the Hoodwinked. I'm going to film Hoodwinked, and I've never met Jawanza Kunjufu. I mean, I'm sorry, I take that back. We met once in Norway, and he sends me an email, and it basically sounds like this. I'm paraphrasing. I know he would never use this language, but it came across like, "There's no way in hell you're going to do a movie about Black statistics and not put me in it." Okay. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love and respect him. He was fighting the battle for a long time, but I'm making a bigger story. When I first broke out, because I don't have PhD after my name, I had hell to pay from the conscious community, from the academic, from the nonprofit sector, the people who do this kind of research. I literally had a friend of mine, near and dear. We're getting ready to go on stage in front of some funders, and he looked at me and said, "Man, don't mess up my money." He looked at me right now because the whole what you find out in Hoodwink is the system has been set up to incentivize our inadequacies or our deficits, our shortcomings.
Yeah.
If you stand in front of an audience of Black people, this is a break your heart. I can go into church and I can start talking about mass incarceration. They'll pass the plate after I get done with that one. I know it backwards and forwards, but that's not my thing. But if I go up there and start to talk about the positive strides that have been made, how great we are, I don't have to go back to Egypt. I don't have to go back to the struggle. We talk about right now. Black people are well, that messes up the narrative. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if Black people, and I'm not saying that there's not a place to go.
Right.
What I'm saying is we are kicked. Here it is. Here's what we're doing good. Let's look at how they got there and let's keep the train rolling. You know what I mean? But my background is from athletics. So couple that with my kind of medical background, this is where my brain kind of separates from those guys. It's like, look, if I watch a guy who throws a left hook, great. You're going to watch it, you're going to study it, you're going to replicate it. If I know that Mike Tyson has got this great right hook to the body, right uppercut to the chin, and it's never been seen before, and he's the originator of it, and it works, I'm going to study it so I can replicate it or defend against it. Well, we're so much worried about, dang, we got to fight Mike Tyson, and he done beat everybody. You can't figure out on what to do against him. And that's the way the system has been set up, that we get organizations, academic, and even down to the church. You stand in the pulpit and tell you, woe is the brother. The Black man is going extinct. They're dropping out of school. They're killing themselves in the street. They're marrying white women, and they on the down low, here comes the check. It's just the way that we have been programmed to think, to gravitate towards the least desirable aspects or statistics about us, as opposed to saying, let's try to replicate the good stuff. He graduated from Sojourner. Well, what if we go to some of the other schools in Baltimore and say, this is an option. If you can't get into Howard University, if you can't go to Bowie, here's Sojourner. Well, what the hell is Sojourner? Nobody knows what, that's just not how we operate. That if we aren't in it to win it, if you aren't in, can you hear me okay?
No, I was going to say, I went there specifically because it was a Black-owned school.
Yeah, it's sitting right there.
Right.
I've spoke, show movies there, and like I said, we're in it to win it. So if you can't get into Howard, then you know what, you might as well just go to the local state-owned community college, and not even thinking about their success stories of how we have navigated a system that is wholly against us, and not use those to make incremental steps, as opposed to, and also focusing on the least outcome. So they make it this kind of false dichotomy, like, well, if you don't go to college, baby, you'll be in jail. Who comes up with this stuff? It was just like, but what I'd say that, and all, to kind of close it out, things have gotten so much better around this conversation that you can even have, that I'm sitting on a show where a radio host can say the deficit model approach to Black identity just blows my mind. That 10 years ago, that like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And why are you doing this? Was the initial push on that thing.
Can I interject something?
Yes, sir.
I can honestly say, Brother Janks, I witnessed your work firsthand. And when I say that, I mean like this. When you working where I work
for 27 years. I actually watched how in a group home, I had kids. Some of them were on a second grade reading level. Some were on a third grade reading level. But your films actually spoke to everybody. And they actually learned something, took something away from the films, to the point where I had to produce more material. So I started messing with Tony Browder's stuff. And the school actually painted a 40-foot mural of a picture in his first book from the Browder files. So I can actually say that your work is making accomplishments, but most people don't see it. And a lot of people that can present it to the right audience don't. But I thank God for you, brother. I really do.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate you. One of the other disheartening things was, okay, so the qualifier, I'm black. I got the DNA. I went to a HBCU. I graduated from a black high school. I'm from around the way. When I first came out, I'm from Palm Park, Maryland. So literally, it's just, I got a black wife. I don't know what I got to do to prove my black. But when I first came out, my work was so controversial. I mean, I had, literally black people calling me Uncle Tom.
Wow.
A sellout. You know what I mean? And it's because I know why, but they didn't understand what my methodology was. But I had some conservatives in my first movie. I had some liberals, and I know people on both sides of the fence. It just is what it is. And when here's the story. So Shelby Steele is this like kind of conservative, right wing, whatever you want to call it, black dude, and people call him Uncle Tom as well, but it's whatever. And Alvin Poussaint is one of the most brilliant crafters of the Cosby Show. He's the guy behind the Cosby Show. He's Bill Cosby's right-hand man. Nowhere near conservative. I mean, really salt of the earth kind of dude. Conservative, liberal dudes. If their son comes home with their pants hanging down, with straight D's, and getting ready to drop out of school, the politics get thrown out the window. They respond in a social way. And the response looks similar. They look almost the same. What is going on? But you can't have that conversation if you've been, ideologue. I mean, the conservatives don't want to hear from Alvin Poussaint. The liberals don't want to hear from Shelby Steele. Nobody wants to hear about how we respond as black men or black women to social pressure. And I couldn't even have that conversation before I opened my mouth up. There was a couple of people calling me, Tom, I wish you would. Let me see you straight. Let me find out where you at. And we can handle this right now. So it was really disheartening. So, I still got to serve the message up in a way that's palatable so I can reach the most people. That's why Hoodwinked is like what black men think light sometimes. It's almost laughable because I had to soften up where I was coming from so it wouldn't get shut down by certain people. So, you know what I mean? But it's a testament to, and you can call it either any way you want it. It's still, you have been sociologically conditioned to perceive the world in a way that ratifies your beliefs. That's what this is. And if that's where you are, I was watching a great documentary earlier about this whole Scientology thing. You can't get into those people's heads because they've cornered themselves into a place where it is unapproachable and inflexible. And to move us forward, I'm offering up an alternative solution. All I'm saying is, let's start from the greatness. Let's talk about how things are good in certain areas and we are making strides, replicate that and move forward in that vein. And nobody wants to hear that because you got to talk about, I actually had a young black man stand up, snap his fingers, suck his gums, walk off and give me the finger at Southern Methodist University because I just told him, like I just told y'all, I can talk to you about mass incarceration all day. I know those numbers inside, outward, backwards, and forwards. Me and Michelle have sat on the stage together. I can run right with it. I know them. But that's not my thing. I'm not going to sit here and reinforce the message where, let me say, black people, I can find a black person in the barber shop right now, tell me that we represent 13% of the population and 46% of the federal prison incarceration rate. They know that stuff. You want to fix it? Decriminalize everything. It's real easy. Decriminalize everything just like they did in Portugal. That's done. And we move on to something else. And he got mad. He said, well, if you want to talk about brothers who are left behind, if you want to talk about how a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, I ain't got nothing to hear from you. And walked off and gave me the finger. So this is that mindset that when someone like me or other voices like mine begin to try to challenge to move the needle, if you've locked yourself into a place, then you won't hear what I have to say.
Brother Janks, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about one of the things that you had said earlier on the show in terms of you being self-funded, and how, that definitely makes a difference when it comes to having autonomy over your message, what you want to present to the masses, to the people, those who you're trying to reach. And so our theme here is everything is business. You being a brother, being Black, and producing these films and producing what it is that you have. What are some of the things that you've had to deal with in terms of, because we know what the narrative is. We know how our people are oftentimes presented. We know the rewards that come with that. We know what people are used to. So, and oftentimes, we're not able to sometimes present certain things because our hands might be tied, because we might not own, the entity in which we claim to represent. And so could you speak to that whole process, being able to fund your projects and what the other things that you encounter, having a message that's not necessarily popular, it's positive, and yes, we need it, but what are some of those things you may have had to go through in order to produce these works you've produced?
It's funny. Okay, so I come from the music background. That's my background. Record label, studio in the house, the whole thing. This is back in the 90s. But trained through the Minneapolis thing. So never met him, but this message got to me. Prince, rest his soul, said this. And this is my springboard into my mindset when I do it. Prince said, I do not make music for musicians. I make music for people. So with that mindset, that I'm making movies for people to grasp, to intake, to move them, to make them understand. That gave me a lot of freedom. I mean, it really just cut me loose. So when networks and there's other stuff going on to this, but I'll tell you, TV One, BET, this other one down here, Aspire, all have rejected my film. Every single one of them.
Wow.
And then the white money comes, the documentary channel, the independent film channel, they pick them up.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, this is I was literally sat in TV One with a great producer who's no longer there because of the culture inside of this place, this Blackness, that TV One was this Black thing. I don't know where they are right now. My message is counterintuitive to what they're trying to do. Yeah, these are the things that just absolutely frustrate me. And like I said, the documentary channel called me. I didn't go looking for them. TV One did call me first, but I'm saying I solicited, talked to these people, and they, literally the landscape for Black programming. These are the ones: Bounce TV, Aspire, TV One, and BET. Wholeheartedly reject the films. And the white money is like, no, this is, I win Best Film of the Year and Best Black Documentary and Best Black Director. We need to talk to this dude. And to have that kind of thing coupled with, again, this slither of academia, and then also boots on the ground people who are saying that he's a Tom. It's just, those are the landscape of someone like me, because of what I'm doing, has to face. Now, Ava DuVernay, I love what she has done. I love it. It's a subtle, empowering message, but she can do a message on the 13th Amendment, which talks about the history of Jim Crow and modern day mass incarceration, coupled with, Michelle Alexander, who, again, I love their work, but again, under the undercurrent of what they're talking about is a message that's known, exposing it more so we can raise awareness, but it's about the inadequacies of us. Well, I'm like,
Again,
I don't like 13 Years a Slave or 12 Years a Slave, and even Birth of a Nation, which I watch. It's a constant reinforcement of our shortcoming or our struggle. And nobody's ever talking about, if Nat Turner would have won, that's my movie. You know what I mean? If Nat Turner, if it was Turnerville in Suffolk now, he won. That's a movie I'm interested in. But ultimately, the end game is it's our oppression, which is one, but it's also the inadequacy or the shortcomings of a people.
Brother Janks, I agree with you. I've also went to Loyola since Sojourner, and the thing is, I see how we become the black problem, and how do you relate to them so well, Dennis? They tell me, how do you? Wow, you relate to the Negroes pretty well. They don't say Negro, but that's how it feels, right? Yeah, you seem to talk their language. Oh my God, you can adapt to their culture. You understand their language, but then go on and you drive up the street, and you see a bus and it's about HIV. You see 2 black children. You walk around, you turn on. I don't even look at politics, to be honest with you, but I went to a little meeting at Loyola, and they was talking about this whole campaign. Was it apathy? And basically the segment that they decided to use was the Negro problem. This is what I call it. The Negro problem. Yeah. This was what's her name? The lady who was running. What's her name?
Margaret.
No. The white lady. Just Donald Trump and
Clinton. Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton, right?
Hillary Clinton.
So Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are talking about the black community and what needs to happen. I'm like, okay, so you guys choose this, right? But also, Donald Trump is saying, we need law and order, and Hillary Clinton is saying we need to do. What did she say? We need to do. They need to do something else. And I'm saying, we need to get gun control. We need to get guns out of the community. And I'm saying this is crazy. Like, we become the spectacle of the whole world because of us being a problem. Right. And I'm like, we can't be the only problem. In fact, we're not the majority of the problem in this country. So. But we are painted as such. So I'm with you. In this network here, we again take a hit on a lot because we do not demonstrate the buffoonery. We don't try to paint a picture of black people in a bad sense. So our views are growing slowly rather than we get out there and start saying in this and in that and this and this and the problem is this and the problem is that. Rather we come with solutions. Look, you want to learn how to invest in real estate? You got what I'm saying? We come with solutions. We come from a more positive aspect. We do talk about the plight, but we don't get stuck there. You understand? So
the one thing right there is where I diverge. So I've got friends, and they focus on a lot of things: financial wealth, investment, entrepreneurship. A lot of these issues, and this is just my own little, Janks twisted ism, that what I found was why I wasn't able to connect with people was because of the hurt. So there's something in there that why does the brother around the way, he's heard the message, dude, don't buy the rent. Dude, don't buy the Jordan. Or the sister, don't buy the Versace, or don't buy the Gucci bag. They know that. So where's the bridge? Why is the message not hitting to the behavior? Why are they not executing on what they know? And what I kept running into, it was the hurt. There was something in there that had hurt them so bad that your message of entrepreneurship or your message of financial literacy or your message of two-parent family, whatever the message was not sticking. So that's why a movie like Dear Daddy comes out. So I start, I deal with young black women in that movie and some of the pain of fatherhood or father absence or father void vacancy. And then that translates into I need a protector provider, which is a very false narrative. Or I need the baller, or just making choices. And even the dude who grows up without a father in my movie Men to Boys, how they ascribe to a false sense of kind of Euro-defined masculinity. So I need to go get the rims. So I began to do work in the pain. And that was some of the hardest stuff that I had to do, because what you're doing is peeling back layers to try to get to an answer that people want to cover up.
Right.
And I believe that the work around those issues that you're talking about, will be so much easier once you understand how to get past that blockade, be it a trauma, be it a repressed trauma, be it some type of construct that has put this person in a place where the reality of the behavior is not matching the reality of the consciousness of what they know to be true.
You know what's interesting is that that's part of our real estate, our entrepreneurship program. We go through that whole mindset and everything. Yeah.
Right.
That hurt
to really pain. Get them to to like and this is someone before I addressed my own hurt and before these movies and this work that I do, someone else, the convertible Mercedes, the big house, I had all that stuff. I ascribed to a thing that would make me think I had found fulfillment or wholeness in acquisition. When I found the answer, it was because of traumas that I had experienced and then social conditioning that ratified that. And that's kind of the lane all of us might be walking in. And to get through that, you begin to find clarity and fulfillment in the service of others as opposed to service of yourself. And that protecting self is one of the kind of blips on the radar saying that there's something else going on.
Yes, sir. Totally agree.
Me too.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. So dealing with those that may be having some pain and some trauma and different things like that, we definitely agree with you. And as Minister Ausar said, that is something that we have built into our real estate program, and we speak about that here at our temple, and do different things to try to get through, so we could get to the other side and tap into the greatness that we are. And Brother Janks, I've taken some tidbits from your work. I still want to see Dear Daddy. I still want to see that. I'm excited to see that.
And we need to talk. You got to back that up. That's like a sandwich. You have to use both. For real.
Wow. He knows them.
I work with girls.
That's a funny story.
And it's
I
like
shot We Need to Talk with it was 10 women from Chicago, and I mean adult women, so they're in their 30s and 40s. And it was about life choices. I mean, it was about choosing the wrong men, looking for validation, looking for acceptance, all of this stuff. And so what I do is I do focus groups on my movie, and I took that movie and showed it to some teenage girls. And within about 5 minutes, all of them had checked off. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is a great movie, because older women love it, but younger women did not. And the reason was because it looked like their mother barking orders at them saying, don't mess up your life like I have. And they didn't hear it at all. That's why I shot Dear Daddy afterwards. I was like, I have to talk to young girls because they know what's going on as well. And young women are going to be the key to making some changes in these choices.
Wow. So you said you focus groups. Do you have any say materials or any things like that go along with your films or documentaries to guide conversations and discussions or anything like that?
I did that with one movie, Men to Boys, and it was with a guy from Baltimore. I did that first movie with. Lamar Shields works with Urban Leadership Institute, I believe, and he did a workbook with that. Because he's in that world. I'm not in that world. I'm a filmmaker. I like to get in front of audiences. Let's go to work, roll up our sleeves, and make a difference.
Sure.
But when you come to nonprofits or funders and academics, they love that stuff. They love workbooks. I'm not writing a workbook. That's just not my thing.
Sure.
Well, it seems
he did a great job with it. But typically, I think that the human connection and what the movies kind of inspire people to do is to look somebody across the table and say, like, look, I went through this as well. I understand. I didn't even know this. Now, what can we do together? And that's a self-directed conversation that doesn't need a workbook. So.
Sure. Definitely understand that. Brother Janks, how can people get to the information that you have? How can they get to, you said that you have some books. You also, of course, have some films and things. How can people get in contact with you to get your information, to get what you have to offer?
The best way to catch me is on Facebook. If you just type in Janks Morton, JANKS MORTON, Morton like the salt. I'm all over Facebook all the time. I'm probably posting 3 or 4 times a day. It's not always it's more personal now. I got kids now. That's the other thing. I got a family and kids. So, yeah. When I first started, I was a bachelor, and I had a lot of free time to really think about stuff. But now I worry about diapers and stuff. But Facebook is the best way to catch me, and I do release a series, especially around Hoodwinked. I haven't done it in a couple years, but I release a series when the data comes out. It's called the 10 Days of Black Truth, and it's the data points to kind of validate what I do. I can run my mouth in a movie for 90 minutes, but if you got a meme or a graphic that says, look, and this is true, Black women enroll in college more than any other group in this country by gender or race. That caught a lot of flack too, but it gives you the sources. It'll give you direction on how to kind of affirm or validate the conversations you want to have outside of the film. Or it just, like I said, take one of those graphics to the barbershop. Y'all go for 4 hours. It really will.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Brother Chuck?
All his films spark conversation.
Oh, man.
Starts arguments too. But you know what?
Arguments.
You know what happens? I found out when white folk are actually like dealing with real bad children, they want anything to get them to calm down. You understand? They will actually fund my man's work to the point where I had the teachers at the group home, man, go out and buy one of those films that you had all the kids sitting there, and a couple of them started crying. I like to, they work, but they'll never say it, but they will do it.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Each kid.
Well, hopefully the sequel to Dear Daddy will do. I know it will. Dear Daddy's going to be even more powerful. Part 2 is going to be.
Wow. Man, I can't.
When are you going to be shooting that? You said January.
January. I think it's the 13th through the 15th. I'm at Lincoln University up in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be there for a couple of days and get that. Hopefully, it'll be ready by late spring, early summer this year. 2017. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. Brother Morton, what we asked our guests to do, just leave a few a few positive words. We shouldn't have a problem with you. The last guy we asked that, he had a problem putting out anything positive, but I don't think that should be a problem with you because you're the positive guy. So, brother, just leave something on that for our listening audience.
There are people and principalities that have a vested interest in and are compensated to misinform you so they can mismanage you. In simpler terms, don't believe the hype. Before you hear, anytime you hear anything about Black people, validate before you reiterate. That's all you have to do.
Ashe. Thank you, brother. Brother Sankofa.
Brother Janks, thanks once again. Justice Minister Ausar said, we appreciate you being on the show, and we definitely look forward to continuing to build and to build a relationship and to continue to correspond with you. We'll be in touch with you, and we look forward to checking out some more of your works and some more of your projects.
Anytime, brothers, anytime. So I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys have a great evening.
All right, peace and power.
All right,
family. Brother Janks Morton, Brother Sankofa, Baba Chuck. I was going to say until next time, but we're not about to go off. We're coming on with the second half.
Yes.
Talking about the conscious confusion, that's going on. So stay tuned. Share with your friends. that we will be coming back on. Those who are viewing us through YouTube, just go ahead and look for the other link. Check us out. Share. We're gonna be talking about this conscious confusion that's going on. We gotta put some words in on this one. It's getting ugly out there. So just wait. We'll see you on the other side. Peace and power.
Dream tragedies. Prepare for catastrophes. Formulate your own reality. Reverse the psychotic slave mentality. Young males are being sentenced in prison. Life